What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Last time out we were at the Portuguese Grand Prix and we ended up taking the win, and not only did we take the win, but also Alex Albon failed to finish the Grand Prix. He had a mechanical failure in the race, which enabled us to close the gap to him to just 2 points with 2 races to go in this season. So I have a little bit of a confession to make, and that's that I just spent 26 minutes sat here recording a video only to discover that I actually didn't even have Audacity open. You know, we've all made these kinds of mistakes before. It's a little bit embarrassing, but yeah, I have already commentated the sprint and race that is coming up, so I'll try and commentate with an element of surprise. But I hope you understand if perhaps I don't come across as absolutely mind blown at some of the things that you're going to see as you might expect. I'll try and do what I can. My voice is starting to drop a little bit as well, so hopefully it lasts for the duration of the video. It's a little bit of a longer one, so yeah, we'll see what we can do. But anyway, yeah, Brazil, it's a track where I have won on multiple occasions, and I don't see why this race should be any different. You know, we're trying to complete this comeback in the championship, and actually there is a chance for both myself and Albon to close out the championship here over the course of this weekend. If one of us comprehensively outperforms the other in both the sprint and the race, then yes, we could close it. But I would say that the most likely course of events that is going to happen is that the championship for the 4th season in a row is going to go down to the wire. Now, in practice, I actually felt pretty strong. Despite the fact that I finished 16th, I was less than a second off the fastest soft compound runner. I was only a couple tenths off Norris on those medium compound tyres as well, and they all went a lot later in the session than me, so obviously track evolution plays a key role in that kind of thing as well, and I was very consistent as well, so I'm feeling like we have the potential to be pretty good here, and I'm hoping that we can do something pretty special. But before we do any racing or anything like that, of course we have to get into qualifying, which is one of the most important sessions of the weekend around here. It's not the easiest track to overtake at. It certainly is possible, and has definitely happened both to me and I have done it to other people in previous seasons. But you know, there's no way I'm going to be winning from 22nd on the grid, so I have to ideally get a front row start here. I've had pole positions here before, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it again. But the rain coming down here in qualifying is going to potentially thwart those plans a little bit. I think it's going to make things slightly more difficult for me to get pole position, so hopefully the rain clears up at some point over the course of this session. We'll see what happens. We do a 117.4 on a set of wet compound tyres, but honestly the track almost felt ready for inters already, so I imagine that my next run will certainly be on the intermediate tyres, and indeed, as you can see, I've come around the final corner now 2.5 tenths up and on the intermediate tyres, and we improve into the 114s, and it was good enough to see us through to Q2 in the end in P7. So yes, a strong performance from us, but not the pace exactly that we were hoping for. But as the track continues to dry out, I hope that we will have good pace on the dry tyres. Albon was very close there to being knocked out in Q1, only a few hundredths of a second ahead of my former teammate Porsche, and the one shock of the session was Lando Norris, who was eliminated in 18th. So yeah, not a great result for him, and I'm sure that he'll be very disappointed with that. You know, he's been on a bit of a fight back so far this season. He's worked his way back into sort of 4th or 5th in the championship, I think, but that ends here as he fails to make it through to Q2. I would say that's probably the end of it for him. We do a 112.5 on a set of intermediate tyres. The track looks like it's drying out. Probably will be ready for dries by the end of the session, and indeed it was. We improved by almost 6 seconds on these dry compound tyres. We're going to be into the 106s. It's a 106.5, and what was that good enough for? I'm sure it saw us through. It did indeed in P1. So yeah, amazing scenes. And I'm really happy with that. We just need to get through to Q, or we just need to get a good time in Q3 now, I should say, and hope that we can outperform Alex Albon at the very least. You know, even if we're not necessarily on pole, if we start front row but there's someone else alongside me, then I'll be pretty happy with that. But we'll see what we can do. Leclerc, perhaps the biggest shock exit of the session on this occasion, out in 11th. He wasn't far off Tsunoda, about a 10th or so, but he will take no further part in qualifying either. And yeah, we've had a McLaren and a Ferrari eliminated, but both Bulls and both Jaguars making it through. That's the sort of fight that you would expect And yeah, our first run in Q1, oh sorry, in Q3 I should say, is a 106.6, and that is on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, but we still have a couple more available for us because we were on the wets to start the session. It meant that we had a few sets of tyres in reserve. A 106.2 is the target time. That's the time that Albon set as his fastest lap of the session. So that's what we're going to get ahead. He's on pole at the moment, I think, and we're improving by about 3/10, 4/10, something around there. We do a 106.2 as well. Is it good enough for pole? No, it's not. We are in second place, and I assume that it must be Albon on pole, but I could be wrong. And indeed, I am wrong. It's Max Verstappen on pole, and we actually do out-qualify Albon. And yes, that means that it will be Verstappen, myself, Albon, the top three of the top three in the sprint. But anything can happen. And actually, if we get ahead of Verstappen, then that will mean that myself and Albon will be tied on points, provided that he stays in third, which might not happen. But we will see. But there is a big opportunity here for us to maybe take the lead of the championship. I think we've had more race wins than Albon this season, but I could be wrong about that. I think just generally he's been a lot more consistently at the top of the field, apart from in these final couple of races that have just happened. Mexico and Portugal, obviously he DNF'd in both of them. One of those was a mistake on his behalf. Obviously, in Mexico, he had that spin, which caused him to hit the wall and his car to break. But in Portugal, it wasn't so much his fault, and it was just a mechanical failure. You know, luck of the draw. What can you do? But yeah, we're going to see now if we can take the fight to Verstappen. It does look like it will be raining for the sprint, which may provide a bit of difficulty for me. You've seen how much I've struggled in the wet conditions so far this season, but we'll see if I can do anything as we get into the sprint.
It's wet here today, and we're expecting those downpours to continue. This will make for a difficult sprint for all the teams.
And then Crofty doesn't say anything again for ages until he goes to the grid order, so I have to try and fill time. I don't really have too much to say. I've won here on multiple occasions, either 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I'm hoping that we can add to that tally. If not in the sprint, then certainly in the race tomorrow.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Robinson completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Albon, Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Russell, Magnussen, Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, Leclerc, Mick Schumacher, Felipe Drugovich, Fittipaldi, Stroll, Joe, Teo Pourchaire and Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, Lundgaard, Schwartzman and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
There certainly is the potential for us to get jumped at the start here. You know how bad my starts are in the wet, especially if you watched my Singapore Grand Prix race just a few videos ago. You will remember how much I struggled against Magnussen and Gasly off the start of that Grand Prix, and it wasn't for about 5 or 6 laps that we managed to get the car and the tyres up to temperature. But the weather doesn't look quite as severe here, so I'm hoping that the tyres will be able to get a little bit warmed up quicker than they did in Singapore. And we will see if we are capable of holding on to this P2. But Albon is right alongside me here, so there is very much the opportunity for him to pull alongside me, especially with the outside line. I think it's going to be very difficult for me to hold on to the position. But yeah, we'll see if we can get a good start now as we get ready to go, as the lights come on here in Brazil. And the lights go out, and we get away decently, but unremarkably. Verstappen pulling away quite a lot. Albon alongside, Ricciardo alongside, and I've been swamped. I try and go up the middle. We managed to push Albon out of the way, and we're back into P3. And actually, to avoid Ricciardo there, I had to take to going over the corner. We were ahead of him as we went into the corner, so we didn't have to give the position back. But yeah, a lot of pressure from Ricciardo there, and somehow going through the middle seemed to be the correct strategy there. I'm not quite sure how that worked out. But we come under pressure from Ricciardo once again, and Verstappen is just getting further and further away right now. So I think my dreams of winning here in the sprint might have already been put to rest. But certainly I want to be able to hold on to P2. Albon has fallen behind both Ricciardo and Sainz off the start. That might have been as a result of me pushing him wide at the start, but we didn't make contact. I think it was fair game. I had to go somewhere, you know, because Ricciardo was on my inside and Albon was on my outside. So you know, there wasn't much I could do. I think it's just lucky that no one made contact there, if I'm honest. And yeah, that three-way battle between myself, Ricciardo and Albon, I end up being the victor of that, and somehow Sainz managed to get himself in the mix and ahead of Albon as well. So yeah, good start for him, good start for Ricciardo, good start for Verstappen. But I would say that for me and Albon, it was just so-so. And for Albon, I would even say maybe it was a bad start. And yes, indeed, Verstappen already over a second in front. Not that it matters because there's no DRS while the rain is coming down, but certainly, you know, the closer we can get, the better. There is now a car going slowly, smoke coming out the back of the car. I'm not quite sure who this is yet. We'll see when it pans to the outside of the car. It's the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, who was running in 4th before this mechanical failure, and that's promoted Albon up 1 spot into P4 now. Yeah, and this is Théo Pourchaire having a similar issue, another mechanical failure, Ferrari overtaking him. That's Leclerc currently running in the last, if you can believe it. And Pourchaire, yes, will be out of the Grand Prix, and yeah, scoring no points in the sprint. But I mean, you wouldn't expect him to anyway, right? He's in an Alfa Romeo. They've not been that strong this season, and that was the story of the sprint. That was basically all that happened. You know, there was no real battling or overtaking or anything like that on my side. I just kept myself to myself. Fell back from Verstappen a little bit, but managed to extend enough of a gap to Ricciardo that he didn't really put any more pressure on me apart from on the first lap. And as we come up to the line, we're going to cross it to take P2 in the sprint. And I think that's a job well done. You know, we set out to outscore Albon, and we did just that. And that puts us tied on points, which I think means I will take the lead of the championship. So I can't be too disappointed with that. And yeah, we'll see what we can do tomorrow.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. Robinson takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. With that result, the sport's newest team can no longer be touched at the top of the table. What an incredible journey this has been for a team many had written off a short time ago. They are the Formula One World Champions. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, goodbye.
Oh boy. So, I have taken the lead of the championship for the first time since I think China. I think that was the last time I was leading the championship this season. I think that was the only time I was leading the championship as well. Because I think Albon had a decent start to the season, but a pretty unremarkable one. But he warmed up into it quite quickly after China. And I think I lost the lead of the championship at Imola when I failed to really have that strong of a race. And yeah, we struggled our whole way to I don't remember where that was, but yeah, we struggled our whole way through the season in P2 in the championship, and finally we've retaken the lead. But let's see what we can do and whether we can hold on to the lead of the championship as we get into the race.
Where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the very final corner. And just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Robinson completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Ricciardo, Albon, Esteban Ocon, and Magnussen, Gasly, Tsunoda, Russell, and Mick Schumacher, Fittipaldi, Joe, Felipe Drugovich and Stroll, Norris, Lundgaard, Robert Schwartzman and Charles Leclerc, Latifi, Oscar Piastri, They've taken a grid penalty. Sainz and Théo Pourchaire. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Mark has nothing to say on this occasion. That's okay. I have nothing to say back to him. If he doesn't believe in me anymore, then I just will believe in myself, you know. We're starting on the soft compound tyres here. Albon once again going on the weird strategy of starting on the medium compound tyres, but maybe it'll work out for him, who knows. I think I have enough pace here that if I can keep him behind me on the soft compound tyres, after I pit on the medium tyres, I think I'll be faster than him. You know, this is a track where I'm pretty fast. So, yeah, especially if I stay within Verstappen's DRS, or even maybe get ahead of him, who knows. But, yeah, I think we should be able to stay ahead of Albon, even on a split strategy. That's my imagination of what's going to happen, but we'll see what we can do as we get ready now. The grid's just forming up at the moment, and yeah, now we're going to get ready to go once again in Brazil as the lights come on. And the lights go out. Holy crap, that was a long waiting time. But we do get away well, and we're almost alongside Verstappen there before he finally gets his arse in gear and moves away from me. And yeah, that means that we are going to fall down to P2, and yeah, that's going to be us holding position off the immediate start. Ricciardo a little bit further behind. I think he was pressured by Albon perhaps into the first corner, but Albon does not quite manage to make the move stick on this occasion. And yeah, it will be as you were as this race started. Verstappen up in P1, pulling away from me a little bit, but not out of DRS range just yet on this occasion. I've not come under as much pressure from Ricciardo, which means I've been able to stick with Verstappen. But yeah, we get a track limits warning, so we'll have to be careful. That's both races, or the sprint and the race, I guess, where we've had a track limits warning at turn 1. I think there's a yellow flag back there. Not sure what that's for. And indeed, there is a virtual safety car. I wonder who that's for. I wonder if someone's out of the race or what's going on here. It doesn't seem like there's been any retirements just yet, but I don't know if we'll see something in a second, whether there is one or not. And indeed, Oscar Piastri is out of the session, and that will be the end of the race weekend for him. He's not having the best of races, all the way down there in P21 by the looks of things, between Pourchaire and Sainz, who both retired from the previous Grand Prix. And to make matters worse, he just goes straight into the back of Pourchaire. Wasn't expecting him to be braking that early, and I guess he sustained too much damage to continue. And yeah, that was the end of Piastri's weekend. Very, very inconsistent, it seems, at Williams. You know, he either wins it or bins it from what I've seen of him. You know, he's had some great results in that car, but at the same time, he's had some absolutely shocking results at the same time. Anyway, we now move on to the end of lap 5, and we're going to be starting lap 6. And as we begin lap 6, you can see that I do get passed by Daniel Ricciardo. He's a rocket ship with the DRS and the battery. And yeah, we're going to see if we can do to him what he just did to us in the following DRS zone. We will have the battery, we will have the DRS, and yeah, hopefully we can close him down. But I mean, he's pretty fast, so I think we might have to go for a bit of a dive bomb up the inside here. We move to the inside at the last possible second, and we go up the inside, squeeze him a little bit wide, and that actually allows Albon to get through as well. So Ricciardo losing 2 spots there as a result of that overtake, and now wrestling with his former teammate Esteban Ocon. And yes, me and my current teammate will be the 2 podium features as things stand, flanking Verstappen. But anyway, we move now towards the end of the lap, and we're going to be going on to the start of lap 7. And I think Albon is quite close to me on this occasion. I'm going to try and hold on to my battery for as long as I can, and that is actually going to allow Albon ahead of me as well. So we're going to have to do to him what we just did to Ricciardo if we want to get back into P2 in this race. I can't allow Albon to get away from me. That'd be an absolute disaster. And I think my tyres are starting to go off, so I might not actually be that much faster than him in Sector 2 as well. So we're going to have to try and make this move now. He seems a bit further ahead than Ricciardo was on the previous lap, but we'll see if we can get ahead of him. We dive up the inside, and we are going to push him a little bit wide once again, but I think we gave him plenty of room. And oh my god, there's a massive crash. That is a huge crash. Let's see what happened there again. I will show you a replay in a second. I think Ricciardo is out. Yeah, you already saw Ricciardo was out, and Albon too is out of the session, and that has major ramifications for the championship. What happened there? I'm so concerned about what happened there. I have no idea. Is that my fault or what happened? Let's see. My goodness. So this is Albon, pushed out a little bit wide. Actually, he seemed like he had room there. I think maybe he had an oversteer or something and had to go off the track. And then when he came back on the track, he just, just absolutely went for it with no regard for where Ricciardo was or anything like that. So I personally would pin that one on Albon. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's got to be Albon's fault, surely. You know, he just came back on the track without really looking and just steered straight into Ricciardo, who was just taking his racing line. I think you've got to put that one on Albon if you're going to give that to anyone. So yeah, we take our one mandatory pit stop. We're going to be going on to the medium compound tyres until the end of the race now, and it's good. It means we get to get off those hards a little bit earlier, but this has massive implications for the championship. If things stay as they are at the moment, I will be 18 points ahead of Alex Albon going into the final race of the season. And whilst Abu Dhabi's never been my strongest circuit, it's certainly not a circuit I anticipate I'm going to do worse than like 6th at, you know. So this could be a nailed-on championship for me if we can just hold on to this position. We've got Magnussen behind at the moment, and George Russell just a little bit behind him. I think both of those guys have also pitted, so Magnussen potentially on for another podium this season. We're now piling the pressure on Max Verstappen, and we're going to dive up the inside of both him and Felipe Drugovich on the safety car restart, and that is going to see me through to the net lead of the race. Everyone in front of me still has to pit, and so this is a very strong performance that we're putting in right now. Obviously, I know we've capitalised a bit on the safety car, but Verstappen failed to defend from us. He was just squeezed to the inside and stuck behind Drugovich, I think, and yeah, that caused him to fall to net P2 at the moment. And now we're going to see if we can put a few cars between myself and Verstappen and try and get him out of my DRS range when the rest of the cars on the grid pit. Around, I imagine, sort of lap 17, 18 is when it will happen. We got ahead of Latifi. We're now going to go for a move on Schwartzman as well, and we managed to make the move happen. And yeah, we are up into P6 already. This is obviously the net lead of the race, no matter where we are, as long as we can stay in range of Pierre Gasly, who is currently out front. As we move now on to lap 11, we're going to go for a move on Enzo Fittipaldi here, and we make our way up into 5th. And yeah, all we have to do is stay within about 20 seconds of Gasly in front, and we should be absolutely fine to hold on to the lead of this race. But yeah, we just keep going. We're going to go for another move on Joe, and I mean, it's too easy for me at the moment. You know, these guys' tyres have gone off, and I'm on pretty fresh tyres at the moment, so it's not really a competition between me and them, and only a few more cars to get ahead of now. Next up is going to be Schumacher. Gasly's actually pitted now already. I think he maybe started on the softs and stayed out because Verstappen pitted and they were too close together. I don't know. So yeah, Gasly's come in. He's taken his one mandatory stop in this race, and yeah, we are up to P2, which will be P1 after Tsunoda pits, and we've caught up to Tsunoda on lap 17, and we're putting a bit of pressure on him. Maybe we can go for an overtake with the DRS and the ERS, but it won't be necessary as he goes into the pits. We do get a very silly track limits warning, trying to go for some slipstream on Tsunoda, and yeah, that was a bit foolhardy from me, but it is what it is, and we just have to make sure not to cut the track again, otherwise we will get a penalty. But Verstappen is 8.6 seconds down, so even if we do get a 3-second time penalty, it's not the end of the world. And as we move now on to the end of lap 22, you can see that that gap has increased to 10 seconds. So I am the fastest man on track right now, or at least I'm faster than anyone that I need to be concerned about. And this is looking really good for us right now. I'd be very surprised if I lose this. I think it would have to be unreliability or a catastrophic mistake to pull this away. But I think we can say with certainty, if you believe that that was Albon's fault as well, that crash, that you'd have to say that Albon has well and truly bottled this championship to an almost unbelievable level. He has bottled this championship. You know, he made a mistake in Mexico. He had a mechanical failure in Portugal, fair enough, wasn't entirely his fault. He didn't get particularly good qualifying in, I think it was Singapore as well, or the USA, if I remember correctly. I think both of those races didn't go particularly tremendously well for him. Actually, no, USA finished second, didn't he? But Singapore, you know, he could have got way more points than he ended up getting there. And then he's made another mistake here, which has potentially cost him the championship. Provided I finish in Abu Dhabi, I don't think anything's going to stop me now. All I'm doing now is trying to go for fastest lap, because I realised if I get fastest lap here, I will wrap up the championship here and now. If I'm leading the championship now, that means I'm ahead of him on countback. So no matter what happens, as long as I win this race with fastest lap, he can't beat me in the championship. So I'm really pushing for fastest lap, just to give myself one chill race before the end of my career in Abu Dhabi next weekend. I'm incredibly excited to potentially wrap up the championship. But as lap 36 rolls around, we unfortunately have not managed to get fastest lap. We're going to go for one more attempt on this occasion, but I just don't see it happening, unfortunately, and I think we are going to have to settle for 25 points, which means the only way that Albon will be able to win the championship now is if he gets the win and fastest lap in Abu Dhabi and I fail to score points. So yeah, good fucking luck, Alex, is all I'm going to say, because I think I will get at least 10th. I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get at least 10th there. But as we round the final corner, we're going to cross the line to take the victory once again here in Brazil, and I don't think the champagne will ever taste as sweet as it will taste at the end of this race weekend, because my goodness, this has been one hell of a comeback in the championship. Not the most involved race I've ever had, but I'm still very happy.
Not just victory today then, but the championship as well. What a spectacular season they've had. Congratulations to the whole team. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top three finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
I am indeed incredibly happy with that. I am flanked by Verstappen and Russell on the podium. Russell having a very inconsistent season. You never know where he's going to finish. It could be 18th, it could be 1st. And yeah, on the podium on this particular scenario. But Albon will now have to get incredibly lucky, I think, in Abu Dhabi if he wants any chance of getting back in this championship. And I can say that I've got one hand on my 4th Drivers' Championship trophy.
Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Robinson increases their championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Lance Stroll certainly put in an impressive performance today. No doubt his team and fans are extremely proud.
The Constructors' Championship may be a foregone conclusion at the moment, but regardless, let's look at the standings. With that result, the sport's newest team can no longer be touched at the top of the table. What an incredible journey this has been for a team many had written off a short time ago. They are the Formula One World Champions. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improved their position in the championship. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, my fight with Albon will not be the only championship battle that goes down to the wire. There is a battle between Russell, Norris and Sainz for P4 in the Drivers' Championship as well, and any one of them could still conceivably do it. And there is also a big battle brewing for 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship between Ferrari and Red Bull. And yeah, I don't know who will come out on top of that one. But yeah, Red Bull currently sitting in the box seat. They've both had pretty strong seasons, I would say. I think Gasly perhaps letting the side down a little bit for Red Bull. He's not looked absolutely amazing. He certainly seems like he had a stronger season last year, when at one point it was looking like he might be a championship contender. Here in season 7, he's not managed to do quite that, unfortunately for him. But yeah, I'm very, very content with this result. We had a very, very involved race. We made a lot of overtakes, and yeah, we also had a lot of drama, a lot of controversy, and I'm sure that people will be talking about that Albon incident with myself, Albon, and Ricciardo. Who was to blame? Was it me? Was it Albon? Was it Ricciardo? Was it some permutation of all three? Let me know in the comments down below who you thought was at fault for that incident, because I genuinely don't know if I can call who it was, but I am nonetheless more than happy to be leading the championship by 25 points, and we will see if there is any way that Albon can get back at us in Abu Dhabi. You know, there's every chance that maybe something doesn't go well there. Maybe I could have a mechanical failure, and then my fate, my destiny will be completely out of my hands, and it will be basically entirely based on whether Albon can get the fastest lap or not. Because I think he'll definitely have the pace to win it. You know, I don't know if he's got grid penalties or anything he's got to take or anything like that, because that could really put a spanner in the works for him. I think that would basically eliminate him from the championship completely. But yeah, as for where we are now, I really think that it's my championship to lose, and lose it I will. It's ironic because I was saying just a few races ago after Singapore or thereabouts, I was saying I think it's Albon's championship to lose. So yeah, how fast the night changes, huh? Just a few race weekends and suddenly we're leading the championship by 25 points, despite the fact that just a few short races ago we were trailing by 60 points in this championship. So yeah, it's been a hell of a comeback. I think, you know, despite the fact that Albon has been incredibly unlucky, you can't completely discredit me, because at the end of the day I have had 3 race wins in a row now. So yeah, I don't think that you can say that it was all due to Albon. That was why I didn't win these. I would have won all of these races, I think, regardless of Albon. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this last race. We've definitely won this rivalry with Leclerc. No matter what happens, he literally can't beat us anymore. So we will be starting F1 23 on 88 difficulty, which I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. And yeah, we've got one more race of the season. Obviously I'll be doing a recap video as well, so there'll be a couple more videos left in this series that you can look forward to. But yeah, we are finally getting to the point where I am winding down my career in Formula 1, and I can't wait to hopefully see it off with another championship win, my 4th in a row in Abu Dhabi next time. But for now, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.